Hello and welcome to Stellaris University. In this video, we'll show you how to set up time zones on a badge. Now we assume in this video that you have XPressEntry installed, which you see in the middle of my screen here, and that you have your handheld installed and connected, which you see on the far right of my screen. So with time zones, you can specify when an employee can come into a certain zone, and this is very useful if you want to partition your employees. For instance, if you have shifts, one person can come in maybe on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Another person can come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So by default, this feature is disabled on XPressEntry. So if you come into the handheld for now and present your badge, you just get an access granted or an access denied, depending on if you have access to the zone or do not have access to that zone. Now, to enable this time zone feature, let us first of all create the time zone. So let's go into the add edit info. And we want to look for a tab called time zones. So let's create a new time zone. So I want to call this time zone Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now under the interval, you want to select the days. In this case, I've said Monday, so I'm going to check Tuesday and Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. And the time is important. I'm saying I want to give access for the whole day. So this is from 12 a.m. to 12:59 p.m. So you're going to add this interval and hit save. Now I want to create another time zone for Tuesday and Friday. And so I'm just going to uncheck Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and leave only Tuesday and Thursday. Same thing here, I want to give for about half a day. So it's going to be 12:59 p.m. Add interval and hit save. I want to create one last time zone for after work hours. So perhaps for people who clean the office. So let's say we have access for the whole day, but just for a particular amount of time. So let's say from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. daily. And I'll add the interval and hit save. Now, the next thing you want to do is to create the groups. So let's go into groups, and I'm going to create a new group, and let's call this group Shift A. And I'm going to say that Shift A is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So go into zones, and let's just select all the zones. Let's say they have access to all the zones, but on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday under the time zones. So you have to select both, and when you do that, you will see that the time zone will be in brackets in addition to that zone. So let's hit save. And I'm going to create a new shift and call it Shift B. And say this shift is for Tuesday and Thursday. And I'm going to give them access to the whole facility and say this is for Tuesday and Thursday. And hit save. Let's create one more group for cleaners. Let's say cleaners have access to the facility after work hours. So we select the times of after work hours, and we select all the zones and add and hit save. Now the next thing you want to do is assign these zones to people. So let us create and add, modify some of these users. So let's modify Christine. And let's take out her all access and grant her access to the cleaners group. And let us take Simon, take out his all access and grant him access to Shift A. And let us take Paul grant him access to Shift B. Hit save. Okay, let's go back to entry exit. So the very last thing we want to do is to change the reader validation so that it recognizes the time zone. So let's go into the settings, and under the reader validation, we want to enable time zones and hit save. So let's see what happens when we present our badge to the reader. So Blake Simon is on shift A, which is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a Thursday today, so he doesn't have access to the facility, even though he has access to the zone. And Christine has access to the facility from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. It's about 2 a.m. now, so she has access to the facility at this time. And Paul has access to the facility for shift B, which is Tuesday and Thursday for the whole day, so he does have access to the facility. Now, this is how the time zone works. If you see, all of these people have access to the zone. So if I go back into the reader validation and uncheck the time zones, I should get them to all have access to the facility. Each of them has access, only prevented by the time zones. Now this brings an end to the demonstration of this feature. Please feel free to reach out to us at helpdesk at Telaris.com for any technical queries or sales at Telaris.com for any product inquiries. Thank you.